Now it's this interface, the way they do it is weird.
At my end, it says it's live on Facebook.
Oh, right now?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, mine's saying I had to push another button.
Okay. It's
Good.
amazing that any of this stuff ever works. I mean, you and I both use it all the time, and I'm still amazed.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Frank Felker. Hi, Frank. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kathy. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, yeah. So we had an interesting morning of technical difficulties, but you know, Zoom is always the backup.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Well, Frank, I'm so excited to get to talk to you here because we've been friends on the internet for I don't know 10 years or
Yeah, a
something.
long time. I'm not sure. Mhm.
um, because we're both part of a wonderful group out of Texas that helps a lot of amazing people get authority. And
Mhm.
so we're part of a conglomerate that helps each other, helps others. And so I know Frank has a big heart and he has a big desire to help people with a high integrity way. So Frank, today wanted to talk about how we're going forward now. We're almost to the end of this crazy year,
Yeah.
and all of us that are in our business, we do very similar things, but we well, I do different than you, but we do similar tactics, I guess,
Mhm.
rather than strategy. How are you seeing everything happen now for your people? How are you seeing because there's lots of opportunities happening right now. So we want
Mhm.
people to really be conscious of that. How are you seeing everything?
Well, Kathy, I think it really varies by industry, but also it's going to vary by what your perspective is on this. There's a lot of people, as you say, there are opportunities, and change always elicits opportunities for people who can leverage the change and try to predict what's going to happen in the near term and the farther down the road. But you have to be careful about not exploiting the situation.
Right.
For example, let's say a hurricane comes through and all at once Lowe's wants to charge 3 times as much for a 2x4 as they used to.
Yeah.
And that's referred to as profiteering. And it's kind of everybody's definition of where that line is drawn is different. But with that having been said, there's so many resources that are coming available. For example, human resources, people who are really smart and really hardworking and have high ethical level, who through no fault of their own are suddenly cast off.
Right.
I'm going to reach out to a local celebrity here in the DC area. He's a former member of the Washington football team.
Uh-huh.
And for years and years and years, he's been on local sports radio, and then all at once, boom, he's not anymore.
Yeah.
And so he and I are connected on LinkedIn, and the way I'm going to put it to him is, congratulations on this new window of opportunity coming open for you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what I would say is, there are opportunities for you to learn. For example, the types of skills you and I are using today, how to communicate effectively and professionally
Mhm.
on computer video. There's a lot of people, and I actually have got a huge list of
Uh-huh.
videos of people who presented themselves in a professional environment on Zoom or on the network news or what have you, where they're not presenting themselves professionally,
Right.
even though they're in a professional environment. So I would say one of the number one things all of us can do is work on our desktop video skills.
Right. Well,
Um,
this is amazing. This time frame, anybody can have a platform. Anybody, if they really have a desire and a passion that they want to share, they can get their message out to thousands. Well, really on Facebook, millions of people if they do it right. And you're using LinkedIn and YouTube, and you have podcasts.
Mhm.
So what is your philosophy to get people's message out? First, you work on them refining their message,
That's
correct?
right. That's the very first thing, is understanding what your message is.
Mhm.
And where that starts with is, who do you help and what problem do you solve for them?
Right, right,
It always has to start with that, because that's your business. If there wasn't a problem that you could solve, nobody's going to pay you for your product or service. So you
right.
have to start with that and get very clear about that. And it's difficult for people to do. Um, then what I like to do, I have a thing I call the message onion, where you have to be able to explain what you do in various levels of detail, depending upon how much time and attention your listener is giving you. So it starts with a little kernel of just like your tagline that might be underneath your company name on the wall or on your business card. And then it goes to your elevator pitch. And then it goes to, maybe you have an opportunity to give an 8-minute presentation at a BNI meeting. And then maybe you have a chance to do a 18-minute, 18-minute TED Talk. Then maybe you have a 45-minute after dinner speech. And then maybe you do a 3-hour workshop, and maybe you do a 2-day boot camp, and maybe et cetera. You need to be able to have refined that message down to its core and then expanded it out so that you can communicate it to each person based on their level of interest, which is designated by how much time they give you.
Right, right. And I think what the other part is that I love what you do is that it's authentic. This isn't the time anymore for costumes. We were talking about that before.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was in Arthur Anderson, I was in corporate America. Right now there isn't a difference with how you show up on Facebook and LinkedIn. But it used to be LinkedIn, had your
Mhm.
corporate persona on, and this is just business, just the facts. And then, but now that's just too boring. And it's also so restrictive. This is the time I would say of us learning how to create trust, because
Yes.
we're in this era of what do you believe and what do you
Mm.
trust. And if you don't create that, they used to say know, like, and trust. I think trust is first now, don't you?
Yeah, without it, people won't listen to you because they can't believe you.
Right.
Um, if I may, I have a couple of tips on how you can do a better job of allowing yourself to be authentic rather
Perfect.
than, sounding authentic. I think there was a politician many years ago, Lee Atwater, that said, sincerity is the most important thing. Once you can fake that, everything else is easy. And instead, what you want to do is not fake it, but just allow your real self to come out. So I have a couple of tips on that. One
Okay.
of them is always speak one-to-one. I watch a lot of YouTube videos where the person will say, what I'm going to show you guys right now, and I want to tell you guys, I'm really excited, and you guys, you guys, you guys. So it's speaking to the second person plural. I had the opportunity to be on radio for a good period of time, and I was told by an old timer, at the beginning and the end of the show, you can say, hello, Washington, D.C. But at the end, in the middle, it's always one-to-one, because almost always it's only one person listening to you at a time. And even if there are two people in a car, each of them is hearing you individually. So
Right.
speak one-to-one. The next thing is, I used to have a bad trait when I would produce online courses where I felt as though I had to be very professorial. Yeah, I really know what I'm talking about. Instead, I heard this as a great tip. Speak as though you're sitting at a lunch counter somewhere with a friend of yours.
Yeah.
And that way you don't speak over their head. You don't try to dumb it down. You're speaking directly to somebody who's a peer of yours. And of course, there will be people who say, well, that's overly simplistic, or I don't understand what they're talking about. But if you just try to speak as though you're speaking to a friend, that's a
Perfect.
real way to let yourself come out.
Right, right. Well, and I think again, this is the time where you can create a platform where you can teach, you can have your own podcast, you can have your own YouTube channel that's very, very successful. You can have your Facebook lives like this. And the opportunity, if you have a mission, you feel like you have a mission, you can really get your word out. And then, of course, you and I both believe that a book a book is the most important thing. I spoke with a Hay House author this morning
Mhm.
before our call, and he was asking about it because publishing has changed so drastically. There's more people like us out there, and the big publishing firms, the traditional publishing firms, have so much overhead that there's not as much profit, and then they're profit sharing with the authors, whereas I don't know about your publishing setup, but mine is set up that the owner, the author, the writer owns all of it. I'm actually doing the service for them and then doing publicity for
Mhm.
them. So is that the way you do yours too?
Yes, I do. I'm moving though more and more into digital publishing
Yeah,
of my clients' messages. Um,
perfect.
you know that I just I'm doing. For example, I have a daily podcast that comes out all over creation, including it'll come out on your Alexa device. She heard me. Uh,
Not now, Alexa.
exactly. But there's just so many, and you know what I think, Kat? I think it's because it's my personal preference. You know, in the sixth grade, I was in the AV club, and you know, I just love playing with computers and cameras and microphones and sending things all around. So I'm transitioning more in that direction, but I will agree with you that the publishing business model has just been exploded, as so many businesses have been in
Yeah,
recent years. And so now there's an opportunity for authors to not necessarily self-publish because that's still sort of frowned upon,
right.
but to be published by a small house like yours or mine. And you get a tremendous amount of credibility from it. And I wonder if you would agree with this, that really for my clients, what I stress with them in terms of the value of writing a book, to quote our good friend and mentor, Jack Mize, is
Yeah,
we're not writing a book to make a lot of money selling a lot of books. We're writing a book that sells a lot of you.
right.
And my most successful clients are the ones who have followed on from writing a book and done, as you said, the publicity to leverage their new position as an author to be able to attract better clients, charge higher rates, and in
Right.
my opinion, have more fun.
Right, right. Well, the thing is, again, is if as a when you're working to get people placed on online media, on podcasts and virtual stages, and now there's all these summits and
Mhm.
free giveaways and all of the radio, TV, whatever. Placing somebody who is an author, a published author, versus placing somebody who just has a great idea and has great, I mean, even if they have 30 years of experience in that field, they're a doctor. It's more important, in my experience, for people to be an author than it is to be a PhD. And
In
so,
terms of getting publicity, yes.
yes, well, in terms of getting visibility, the thing is that because you get a chance to help them, you can package people with a press kit and everything, but the ones that have gone, it's like a badge of courage having a book. I
Mhm.
think, just like a PhD is a badge of courage too, because you just do it, right?
I have a client. Well, one way to sort of quantify that, the difference is the day that your first box full of books come and you put them on the dining table and you break out the box cutter or the butter knife or whatever you got. And you open it up and you get those babies and you put them in your hand, you can smell them. And then you see your name on the front and your picture on the back or your pictures on the front too or whatever.
Yeah.
It really strikes you at an emotional level, at least for me personally, in a way that was unexpected the first time that I did that. And then I would agree, you as a result, you almost, I wouldn't go so far as say you see yourself differently, but I think you see your potential differently.
Right,
You see,
right,
wow, I put all this time into this and look at this beautiful creation. And then suddenly you notice other people seeing you differently or speaking of you differently or referring you when they had never referred you previously.
right.
So it does have a big effect. And I have one client who's like my poster boy for, what can be done. And I could go through all kinds of things, but right the first 7 months, he had made $150,000 in new revenue that was directly tied to having written the book.
Yeah.
And it sounds unbelievable, so I don't want to overstate it, but it's a financial skill that he has that has to do with mortgage financing.
Uh-huh.
And he just recently started a multi-million-dollar investment fund. And he's no smarter. Well, he probably is smarter now than he was 4 years ago. But the real difference was not how smart he was or what he had accomplished, but he became a recognized authority, the guy who wrote the book.
That's right. That's right. And the authority is what both you and I are elevating our customers whenever we can to that level, because if they want to play the bigger game, it's never in history been this easy to get visibility. It used to be 20 years ago, you had to buy an infomercial or a ad on television, and it was a really expensive. Then you could be on a morning show. Then there was TEDx's. You have all these sequence, but TEDx's, most people pay to get on them. It's a franchise, right? So people don't realize that. Whereas the idea of getting on all these podcasts and being in the public eye over and over again, where you become visible enough that people can see you. That requires, I think, a book. I really think it's a big difference.
Well, and another thing I really like about the digital way of doing things, I mean, my company is called Digital Media Positioning,
Right.
is that you're in complete control. You decide what your Facebook page looks like, what your podcast videos look like, what they sound like, where they're distributed, how it opens and closes, who you invite to speak. You're in
Right.
complete control.
Yeah.
And I think that if you come from a place of giving value and have a very specific, we talked about this earlier, who do you help and what problem do you solve for them?
Right. Right.
Then those people will resonate with you and connect with you. I remember my mother, I'll bet I was 20, less than 20. We were on a long family road trip. And she said to me, there are millions of people out there who want to hear exactly what you have to say.
Yeah.
You just have to let them know about you. And, back then, how are you going to do that? That was a long time ago. And now there's a million ways, and I'm leveraging it. I always start with the video, and then I turn it into audio, and then I chop it up into little bits and pieces, and then YouTube does a transcription of it, and then I put that, so I've got it in text, audio, and video, and then I send it everywhere on Amazon Music, Audible, Alexa, a lot of places Spotify, that most people don't think about. So that you're literally, I think it was Gary Koenig had the book You Everywhere Now, something like that.
Uh-huh.
That's the philosophy I'm following.
Well, yeah, it's repurposing so that every bit of content has the potential to be seen or used maybe 6 to or more times. And that way, when people say they don't have time to do content, there's a way to make every piece count. So your
Yes.
blog post can be turned into a video, can be turned into a podcast, can be
An email.
Yep. Yep.
And then you can gather them together and turn them into a book.
Yeah.
Or you can take a book and slice it up and turn it into 1,000 other things.
Well, one of the things that you and I have in common is we both also love all this technology. We love to see the new plugins or the new software that changes that makes everything better, because things are changing. Websites have to be optimized and responsive and mobile. All the emails, I'm watching the percentages of opens change so that it's much more being opened on the phone. And yeah, so that, and then emails are still, building email lists are still really big, and
critical.
so there's so many ways that you and I we can play together, I think.
That sounds like fun. Let's
Yeah,
play.
yeah. Well, I actually, if you see me in here, if you saw me, if you had a spider on the wall or
Hmm.
whatever, you'd see I really like. It's like a game, and I want to win.
Yeah, I
So
like
I
that.
do. So I do see the software and everything. It's like, aha! I figured out how to get YouTube to place this video and
Yeah,
get SEO for it. So yeah, I do, and I like my tools. I do. I think they're part of my gaming phase here. So
right. Well, and as I say, that's the only reason why I don't really do books so much anymore. It's not because I don't see the value. I absolutely do. It's just I enjoy this more.
yeah, yeah. And the other thing I want everyone to know is Frank is really a good teacher. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your training programs you've had, and then we'll segue, and I'll be glad to show your site.
Oh, well, I
Okay.
don't even know what site you're going to show.
The conscious business zone
Oh,
hire.
oh, 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 okay, great, sure.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to try to make this as concise as I can. I mentioned a moment ago my mother. I was first introduced to small business in 1974,
Mhm.
and I was 15 years old. And for some reason, my mother decided that it was time for her to go into business, even though she had absolutely no business experience, and she really had no business being in business. And but I don't blame her because that's the way she was, and that's she instilled that in me. Just go do it. And so anyway, right from my very earliest days, I was intrigued by why is it that there's only a very small fraction of all small business owners who truly thrive and succeed, and the vast majority struggle and fail.
Mhm.
And people can agree with me or disagree. It has a lot to do with what your definition is of success and what your definition is of failure in business. And I have very specific ideas that I won't go into right now. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Most people struggle. And
Right.
yet, at the same time, I believe entrepreneurship is potentially the answer to the problems, many of the material problems in every person's life.
Right.
Entrepreneurship gives us a struggle, a goal. It gives us opportunities to learn. It gives us opportunities to serve. It gives us opportunities to engage with other people. It gives us opportunities to compete, to sharpen our own edge and become everything that we can. It
Right.
isn't easy, and in my opinion, from a spiritual standpoint, it isn't easy on purpose. If it was easy, everybody would be making millions of dollars. But
Mhm.
the potential for that is there for everyone, and I mean everyone. And so, what I have set out to make my mission is to try to help people who are either current or prospective or want to be business owners to succeed as quickly and as much as not that they can, but they want. There are a lot of people, we don't want to make $100 million. But we want to make a good living. We want our family to be comfortable. We want our friends and peers to respect us. So in general, it comes down to this for me. I believe most people who have gone into business did it because they wanted more of one, two, or three of these things. They wanted more money. They wanted more creative expression in their work, job satisfaction.
Mhm.
And number three, they wanted more time freedom.
Right.
But for most small business owners, that was the dream. But the reality is longer hours for less pay than you were making at your previous job,
Yeah.
a lot more stress, a lot more risk, almost zero time freedom, and you're not happy. And
Right.
so this is what I've tried to lay out to people in a model I call the M cube. I'll just come now to the course that you're talking about. One of
Okay.
the M's in the six M's of the M cube is management, management of people. And if you can't successfully attract, select, and develop and retain smart, ethical, hardworking people, you are always going to be on the hamster wheel in terms of your business. You need to be able to bring people in that you can trust who do a good job, who are smart, who want to grow and learn with your company. And so I've created an online course that's called How to Hire and Keep Great People. And as part of this, what you see on the screen right now is a free mini course that I offer, and I'm offering out to your viewers and listeners today. It's
Mhm.
14 hiring mistakes that business owners make over and over and over again. and how you can avoid them or fix them if you are already doing them.
Mhm.
And so I would like to, it's hireandkeepcourse.com/CBZ for Conscious Business Zone.
Thank you.
And no obligation or whatever. I want to share this. And so I have a lot of thoughts about why people do a poor job of hiring and managing. The number one reason is most people have no training or experience.
Right.
Some people are born leaders, most people are not. But this is a skill you not only can develop, but you should focus on developing, because it's not only that these people are going to help you grow your business and help you make more money and more time freedom, you're going to help them. That's what it's all about. The core idea in this course is you need to change your way of thinking about being a manager and look at yourself as someone who can help these people get what they want from their lives. This
Exactly.
is the essence of the law of reciprocity. If
Win.
you can help that person achieve what they want in their life, they
Yeah.
will help you achieve what you want from your business.
Right. So Frank, a lot of people are hiring contractors.
Mhm.
Are all of these tools, or are they is it 14 things to know?
Well, that's just a free mini course. There's a
Okay.
total of, I think, 30. Uh, the 14 things are in 3 lessons, and there's another 27, or I don't remember how many lessons.
Okay,
And
great.
there's a workbook that goes along with it. There's also a
Fancy.
Facebook group. Um, and I really, again, I want people's feedback. This is great, but I wish you would have talked about this, or I disagree with what you said about this. I'm wide open. I don't know everything, but I'm coming with a desire to serve. So if
Right.
there's a way that I can help you better, great. But it's
That's
about, I think in total, it's about 3 hours worth of content, something like that. But
fantastic.
yeah,
Thank
I'd recommend people take it though over a course of maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
So when you look at this, I'd love to just ask a few questions. How
Mhm.
do you look at um, Michael Gerber's work, the
Hmm.
E-Myth? Is that part of
I actually
your
have a thing
philosophy?
in there about that very thing.
Okay,
So first up, I think Gerber, he really did a great service, except most people don't know what does the E-myth mean.
right,
And the E-myth is that business owners are not necessarily entrepreneurs.
right.
That's the myth. Because the entrepreneur is someone who could sell this business and go run another business and have a ski business and a tire business and a you name it, completely disparate industries, because they understand certain things, particularly about management.
Mhm.
And so I do address that specifically with a given job. Are you hiring a technician, as Gerber calls it? Are you hiring a manager, as Gerber calls it? Are you hiring an entrepreneur? Because entrepreneurs take jobs too, if they
Yeah,
see an opportunity.
yeah.
Are you an entrepreneur? One of the examples I often give, I have a background in the printing industry. It's a lot of printing press operators who decided that they wanted to open their own print shop. And
Mm,
that's great, but that's a whole different job than running a printing press.
right,
And a big part of it is you're going to have to find other great press operators to come work for you.
right.
And anyway, so I do address that. And I do agree with Gerber on the management side.
Yeah, I really like the revisited. I think it was the second version of his E-Myth book. Okay, so then the other question is about Jim Collins, Good to
Mhm,
Great.
mhm.
Did you also use part of that in your no? Okay,
No, what was the other book he did? Good to Great, Built to Last.
good. Built a list.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
he talks about getting the right people on the bus, which is really true about what you're talking about is how to get the right people, how to make the right decisions to get the right people on the bus.
well, the 3 phases are attract, select, and develop.
Perfect.
And so, because it's a critical, those are all 3 critical things. And, I want to share this with you. I did not. I've read both of those books by Collins. That's a great idea. I should go back and reread them because I'm sure I could find a lot of good information I could share there.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to share this real quickly. One of the things that people don't understand is that all relationships are temporary. No matter if it's a relationship with your parent, with a spouse, with an employee, an employer, one day that relationship will come to an end. But so many managers and business owners want to hold on to that good employee by the throat for as long as they can and never let them go. And as a result, they, especially with smart, hardworking, ambitious people, they don't like that. And they, if you try to hold on to them, they're going to go away. But if you help them develop with an eye on the fact that one day they will leave you, um, do like Coach Krzyzewski does. He only hires assistant coaches who want a team of their own. And he says, while you're here, I'll teach you how to create a championship team. And when it's time for you to go, I'll wish you well. And while that coach is working for him, that coach does everything he can to help that team win. And that's the approach more people need to take.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's, I had a clothing store for 16 years. And I was the first woman in the US to have a men's clothing store
That's great.
back in the 70s. And so I understand that whole philosophy of the, when, when the team, the, that team, when the team wins and you promote and support everyone on the team, that's the other thing about competition. What we would do is you would compete against yourself, not against the others in the team. So you would have your own, not quota, but your own numbers that you would try to reach. And there would be all sorts of bonuses on that. So yeah, I love that whole philosophy of the whole thing is personal growth. It really is personal and professional growth. There isn't really a difference between
And the
it.
type of people that you want, those smart, high ethics, hardworking people, that's what they want. They want personal development.
Right,
Um,
right.
and so anyway, and
Perfect.
have you ever heard the X and Y styles of management?
I don't think so.
Well, the X style is the beatings will continue until morale improves. We've all heard that one. And the Y style is what we're talking about. But the interesting thing is there's also X and Y style employees. There are people who expect to have their head beaten on,
Oh,
because they're not doing a good job or they show up late every day or whatever. You don't want those people. You want people who take pride in their work, take pride in themselves, and are looking to grow. And if that's not what you're looking for, do not sign up for this course because I can't help you.
yeah, right. Perfect, perfect. And when you said X and Y, I was like, those are chromosomes. Those are genders.
That's funny.
I
It's kind
don't
of,
see the X as being the aggressor. But anyway,
yeah, I don't know who came up with that.
yeah, that's funny. Well, I want to let everyone know also because Frank is a wonderful resource and he does have courses on Udemy. Do you want to brag a little bit about your courses on Udemy too, please?
Sure. Well, I have, you had posted up something, I think, from an author page, and I need to update that because it's
Okay.
actually now over 25,000 individual students from 168 countries around the world who have enrolled in my courses. And I can't, I mean, you were talking about the technology and what a blessing it is. Kathy, how could we have ever done that before?
Right. Oh,
Touch
it's
so
so
many lives in so many places. Well, it just gives me such a warm feeling.
yeah.
And so now what I'm doing is I'm launching my own online school. The group that we're in, I suggested a lot of different names, and everybody just said, "Well, why don't you call it Frank Felker School?" And I was like, "All right, well, it's like the Robert Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland." So that's what it is. It's Frank Felker School of Business. It's at school.frankfelker.com. If you go there now, you'll see a coming soon page. But I really am so excited about this. And uh, the problem with Udemy is it doesn't allow a lot of interaction, direct interaction between me and my students. In this way, people are going to be able to be in the Facebook group and they're going to, send me emails, or and some people may choose to actually have one-to-one coaching done and that kind of thing. And this is really, this is what I want to do when I grow up, Kathy.
Oh, that's great. And I have to say, I wouldn't I can recommend Frank very highly. I just love what he does. He's got a big heart. He's conscious and he's working towards the betterment of humanity. You can hear from his presentation that it's a win-win situation that he's trying to build with everyone. It's not just this particular course talking about business. That
Right.
is Frank. So I really want people to know that if they're looking for we're starting a new year. If you're looking for a way to up your game, because this is the time. I mean, we're in times of huge change, and there's huge opportunity if you have the guidance of someone like Frank to help you make better choices so you don't have a expensive learning curve or a bad time learning curve,
Well,
right?
that's the thing. It's always less expensive to learn from someone else's mistakes. I love, we all learn best from our mistakes, and that's how I became an expert. Uh, I've been doing this a long time
Wow.
and stubbing my toes a lot. And I don't know, it does come full circle to what you were talking about originally, which is the opportunities that are available. There are people available to be hired right now that in the past it would have been extremely difficult. A year ago today, there was record low unemployment. Today, there's record high unemployment. Fact is, however, no matter what the labor market, only a small fraction of companies do a good job attracting, selecting, and keeping
Right,
people.
right.
And
It's
if this could even help you with one hire,
right.
it, because it's an expensive thing to make a bad
Right,
hire.
right. Well, and the attitude now, because fear is so pervasive, that where people might not really show their full true colors in an interview, or they might overstate their achievements. Uh,
Mhm.
you really want to you want to have some tools in your toolkit to be better at hiring and it better at working with people. That's really a big part of this big change is more people working for the betterment of the whole
One of
rather.
the things you'll see in the mini course is I have a lesson that's called hiding your dirty laundry, which is the opposite, sort of the reverse of what you were just saying, that a lot of businesses refuse to make it clear in their job listing, in the interview process, or anywhere else, exactly what this job is and exactly what's going on with the company right now.
Right, right,
And as a result, very quickly, a person will realize that not only is this not what you advertised, but you're fully capable of being deceitful. And so that's not good. I would agree with what you're saying as far as checking people's background and so forth. But I wonder if you would agree with this, that uh, it's really all about a person's attitude
hmm
and their willingness to grow and learn and work hard and do the right thing.
right,
And those are things you can't train.
right,
So you have to hire for it.
right.
And I actually have a little thing. I give this little general knowledge test. It's only 10 questions. It takes less than a minute. I'll give you a couple examples of questions.
Okay.
But what happens is people get so flustered that their real personality comes out.
Oh,
That they were telling, oh yeah, I did this and I did that and the other thing. And I give them the Columbo. I
oh
say, well,
God.
it's a great interview. And I look for, oh, there was just one more thing.
Oh God.
And so the first question is, what's 10 times 10? And the person's thinking like, that seems too easy. Maybe it's a trick question. And then they'll say, 100? And I'll say, that's right. And I'll say, what state do you live in? Seems like a trick question. Smart people pause. They don't just spit it out. They think about it for a minute. And then they say, let's say in my case, Virginia. I said, great. What's 12 times 12? Oh, all at once they have to start thinking and they start freezing up. The brain freezes.
Huh.
And there's a whole number of other questions like which is larger, the earth or the sun? They're all individually simple questions. But in the framework of a job interview, it's enough to scare the daylights out of them. And now it seems a little mean, but I'll tell you, I learned, have you ever heard something called explanatory value?
I don't think so.
It's how you explain things to yourself when something goes wrong.
Oh
Is
wow.
it that, oh, I could have done better. How can I learn from this? Or is it, God hates me, the world's against me? And because you don't want that second kind of person.
No,
So
no.
anyway, that's kind
Well,
of thing that you'll learn in there that you won't see anywhere else.
Well, this is a way for all of us to work on releasing any victimization models that we picked up, and I think that's part of what this whole lockdown time period has been. Is there's been a big opportunity to work on personal development, on making choices and aligning to who you really are, getting on board with other people that have the same mission or vision that you do, that want to support you, and hiring the right people that have the energy. The other thing and we're going to have to wrap up soon, but the other thing I'm finding it's interesting is pace. How I'm pretty fast the way I work, and I like and then if I have someone that I'm working with, a client or an employee that are slow, I have to really adjust. Do you have any advice about that?
Boy, that's a tough one because I am exactly the same way. And I try to remain calm. Um, but it's just popping out of me. And I have this thing, I have very fair skin and I have rosacea. And so if I'm getting upset about something, I also have a birthmark that comes down my forehead. So next thing you know, that thing starts popping out and my face turns red. And it's kind of hard for me to deny that I'm getting a little impatient. And so I will have to say that I do not address that in the course.
Okay,
And for me, I need to attract people who are not that way, that there's not that conflict.
it's
And
interesting.
there's an example I give. A wonderful woman who worked in production for us at the print shop. She was smart and sharp and worked fast, and her quality of work. And she showed up every day and right on time. And great, fantastic person. Um, but if you listen to her speak, you'd never believe how intelligent she was. And I tried to help her develop with things like that, and she wasn't interested. She was really bad with customers. I tried to help her with that. She wasn't interested.
Interesting.
And so one of the things I talk about is the platinum rule. The golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But that assumes that you both want the same thing. And you
Right,
don't. So
right.
the platinum rule is do unto others as they would like to be done unto.
Mm.
So I took my foot off the gas and trying to make her turn her into something she didn't want. And she just plowed ahead and did the greatest production work of any person I've ever had.
Wow, that's fantastic. So Frank, I'm gonna just suggest one book that you might be interested in. It's called Cafe Gratitude, and it's a conscious business book about this. It's actually now a chain of restaurants in California where they have a system that the manager actually works with each employee before the restaurant opens every single day and clear them of anything, because they don't want whatever they brought in from home or any conflicts or any of that to affect their performance and their day. And so they pay extra to have the manager and the employee come in and they work it out, and then they've had exponential growth. It's quite
That's
phenomenal.
fantastic.
It's
I,
phenomenal.
so
So,
it's a book as well.
yes, yeah, I'll find it and send you a link, because I
There's
think
probably still time for you to buy it for me for Christmas, Kathy. You could put it on a
okay.
Prime second day delivery.
I'm on Amazon all the time. Anyway, well, Frank, could you repeat again the best ways for everyone to reach you and
Sure.
how they could work with you so that we make sure that they see you as a powerful resource, and this is the perfect time to connect with you.
So I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, uh, and please feel free to connect with me or email me at frankfelker@gmail.com. But if you want to learn more about this, my philosophy on hiring and keeping great people, I really recommend this little short course to you. It's just 3 or 4 videos, and none of them are more than, I think they average about 6 minutes long. And it's at hireandkeepcourse.com/CBZ, Conscious Business Zone.
Right,
And
right.
that'll take you right to where you get it.
And I'll put that link in. And once you see what a great, because this is a free course, once you see what a great educator and how thorough and how the high quality that Frank offers, I think you'll want to take more of his courses and find out more about how you could work with him. Thank you, Frank, so much. Such a
Thank you,
joy.
Kathy. I really enjoyed it. It was a
Oh
great
yeah,
pleasure.
me too. And hopefully this will help launch this course for you so that more and more people will enjoy your support.
But real quick, that's right. It is a launch. And any feedback you have for me, you can email me or go to the Facebook group, whatever you'd like. I'm all ears.
Yeah, he's a real person and he's really here to help you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.